Hi everyone, this is section 3.4 day 2 on multiplication and division. Okay, now when you multiply or divide, you want to look for what you have in common. And I'm talking about what you have in common that is across from each other, like an x, like you're cross multiplying with two fractions, or what you have on top or bottom of one another, like a fraction. The only thing you have to remember is that you cannot look at things that are next to each other. Okay, the point of you multiplying or dividing is that you are canceling things out that you have in common. So the ones that are next to each other is not going to be one of them. So not next to each other. Do not cancel those out. Okay, the only thing that you have to remember is that with division, you are going to use the reciprocal. And if you remember, the reciprocal just means that you are flipping your fraction. Okay, so for our first example, I have x to the third over y squared times y to the fifth over x. So I'm looking across from each other first. And I notice that they both have x. Now the first one has x to the third, and the second one on the bottom has x to the first. So when you are dividing, you could really cancel out the least number of variables that you have. So on the top, I have a 3. On the bottom, I have a 1. So I can cancel out a 1. That's all gone. And this now becomes a 2. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to highlight this because this is what I have left over. Oops. Or I'm going to circle this, actually. So I have x squared left over. Now on the other side, I have y2, y squared, and y to the fifth. So I can cancel 2 of them out, and I can cancel 2 from here to get 3. So what I'm left over is x squared y to the third over 1, since I have nothing on the bottom. Now this is your final answer. You can leave it like that, or you can rewrite it without the fraction since it's over 1. That's it. This is your final answer. Okay, same thing for number 2. The only thing that I did different is that I introduced numbers, and it is okay. It is the same procedure. I'm going to look across here, and I have y's in common. They don't have x's, not both of them, so I'm going to leave the x squared by itself for now. Okay, I'm going to circle it because it's going to come back in my final answer. And now I have y to the first and y squared, so I can cancel this out, subtract 1 here, and I have 1 left over. So y to the first is another 1. Now you're looking at your numbers. So I have 3 and 6. Now these are fractions. Okay, so I want to see what number I can divide by both of these, which would be 3. If I divide 3 by 3, I get 1. And if I divide 6 by 3, I get 2. Okay, so notice that I am circling these because these are going to be part of my final answer when I try to simplify this. Okay, now on the other side, I have x to the first and x to the third. So I can cancel this out, and this becomes 2. And same thing with the numbers 5 and 15. If I divide 5 by 5, I get 1. If I divide 15 by 5, I get 3. So what I have left over is 1 times x squared times 3 times x squared over 1 times 2 times y. All right, so now I'm going to simplify everything. So I'm going to multiply my numbers together on the top, which I get 3. And then x squared times x squared, since those are like terms, I get x to the fourth over 2y. This would be my final answer. Okay, so 2 more problems. I actually want you to pause the video and work on number 3 by yourself before I go over the answer. Okay, so again, I'm looking across from each other. I can cancel out this x. I'm left with 1 here. The 3's will cancel out and give me 1's. The y will cancel out on the bottom and give me a 2 here. And then the 2 and the 4 will cancel out to give me 1 and 2. So I get 1 times x times 2 times y squared on the top, and then 1 times 1, which will give me 2xy squared over 1, or over nothing since it's just 1. So that is my final answer. Now the only difference with number 4 is that when you are dividing, you need to change that to a multiplication problem. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Okay, so the reciprocal again is just flipping this fraction. Then it's the same thing we were doing before. So you're looking across and solving. So my y's cancel out. 10 and 20 becomes a 1 and a 2 because I can divide both of them by 10, and the x squared comes down. On the other side, my x's cancel out, and then I have a 3 and a 21, so that cancels out to a 7 and a 1. And I'm left with a y. So on the top, I have 1 times x squared times 7 times y over 1 times 2, which will give me 7x squared y over 2 as my final answer, and I am